Welcome back everybody to my Pac-Man Series review, and I am Tony, once again bringing you more TTBurger game reviews, and we're on episode 118, part 4 of 5, man. We're getting closer and closer to the final part here, and I know we have a lot to talk about here, so let's get started. But before we get started here, I know some of you guys probably missed what happened in episode 118, part 3, but fear not. You know what we got here. We have this thing here called the TTBurger recap to show you all what you missed, and in episode 118 part 3 I took a look at Pac-Man World 2, the PlayStation 2 version, and gave it an 8 out of 10 because there were some very frustrating and difficult parts like with the jumps, like false timing jumps and stuff like that, where you fell to your death, and the camera being very bad at times where you couldn't control well and stuff, and get stuck behind items and such. But for the most part, it's a great game. It definitely introduced Pac-Man to the 6th generation of game, and as I goofed it up there in the last part, I apologize there, so my bad there. I take correction there for messing that up, so I apologize there. But now we're going to zoom ahead to the year 2005, and this was a time when Pac-Man was celebrating its 25th anniversary from starting off in the video game era and stuff. When it all started back in 1980, like I said many times before, but we don't really have to explain that because we know all about the classic Pac-Man stuff. But because of this, Pac-Man's 25th anniversary, Namco decided to release the next game in the Pac-Man World series here, and we got it right here. This game was released for the PlayStation 2. This game was also for the Xbox, the GameCube, the PSP, and the Nintendo DS and PC. And we got it right here. This is Pac-Man World 3 by Namco, like I said, released in 2005. Now, before I get started, I forgot to mention here, I also have to give a shout out to my friend CCGamer88, who is a big Pac-Man fan, and I know, and y'all know that I said she is a master at Pac-Man, who gets very far in the original arcade game and stuff, and loves Pac-Man stuff. So CCGamer88, this is for you. I hope you enjoy there, because we got some more Pac-Man here to review. Now, what is there to say about Pac-Man World 3? Best 3D Pac-Man game ever made. Now, I know a lot of people hate this game for reasons X, Y, and Z and stuff like that, but take it from me, sure, it has a few minor annoyances, but if you can look past those annoyances, you got yourselves a fantastic Pac-Man game here, and this is the one I recommend the most here. And now we gotta get into the story here, and the story is Pac-Man celebrating his 25th birthday when all of a sudden he is teleported all over the place, and finally he lands in a murky sewer by former nemesis Orson from Pac-Man World 20th Anniversary, who was the genius behind Toc-Man, you know, the guy who kidnapped all his friends and family. Yeah, like they're like buddies now and stuff, and he tells Pac-Man of an evil genius called Irwin, who was trying to steal energy to destroy Pac-Land and the world using a special siphon. Pac-Man also learns that the ghosts Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde have been captured by Irwin as well, and it's up for Pac-Man once again to save the day, and with help from the ghosts as well, who are actually trying to stop Irwin and stuff once and for all. The story is fantastic, and it's deeper than the other stories in Pac-Man World and stuff like that, and just they did a great job here. Namco did a really good job here with showing off what they were doing with their mascot and making it bigger and bigger. As we get in for the presentation here, graphics here are amazing. They still look good to this day, and Pac-Man has never looked the best before until this game. I mean, Pac-Man looks really detailed. The character models themselves look detailed as well. The backgrounds are fantastic. They're colorful. They're bright looking. Some of them may look dark, like with the sewer and stuff like that, and like other levels too. But you can't expect it to be bright and sunny in a sewer or a volcano area and stuff like that, because it's gonna be dark like that because it adds charm to it. And we have some great looking CG cutscene scenes here too, which also look nice. But the frame rate can be uneven at times, which is strange, because like the frame rate was smooth in the last game, and this one we have some frame rate issues here and there. So frame rate could have been better, but it's not the worst frame rate I've ever seen. I've seen other games that have worse frame rate than this, so it's understandable. Now as we get into the sound here, the sound is also excellent. The voice acting is in my opinion, my favorite part of the sound. This is the first Pac-Man game where Pac-Man has a voice and he's fully voiced and stuff. Martin Sherman provides the voice for Pac-Man, and he does a fantastic job here and stuff. Without him, I don't think Pac-Man in this game could have been made and stuff like that, because he makes Pac-Man more likable than ever and stuff like that. And of course, like, the game has a lot of voice setting in, like a lot of the key characters, like the Ghost and Ms. Pac-Man, stuff like that, have voices and stuff. Like Regina Reagan voices Ms. Pac-Man. She does a great job too, along with Eric Myers, who voices the main antagonist Irwin and stuff like that. And Stuart Milligan voices Orson and Inky and stuff and so on and so on. And they all do a great job there, and they do a great job with like providing the voice for the story, because it makes the story really well done, and they did a great job there. Music, on the other hand, it just came off as okay. It just comes off as kind of bland at times and stuff for some reason. Like the music just comes off as kind of bland, and the music could have been better is the thing. But I'm not saying the music is bad. It just, the music just could have been better and stuff, because like it just really could have. I mean, it's just for me. So music is just, it's okay. If you like the music, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You also have the classic sound effects; those still remain there, and the classic sound effects still sound great. And just, it's a Pac-Man game that's gonna have those classic sound effects there. Now getting to the gameplay here. The gameplay is great with a few small annoyances there. It's a full 3D game once again, and it works really well. You have new features in this game, like you're able to take control of the ghost characters in certain levels with different special abilities, like you got a Pinky who can who can see invisible platforms and make platforms appear and stuff like that. You once again collect fruit and pellets and power pellets, although it's just to collect the high score, so it doesn't really tell you how many fruits are in the level and stuff, or how many pellets there are, because like it seems like there's an infinite amount of pellets. And you got the Galaxy and Maze tokens here once again for the mazes and stuff, and the mazes are fantastic looking too. Although they seem a little bit harder this time and stuff, the mazes. So those of you who could breeze through the mazes in the last game, you're gonna be in for a challenge this time. There are no arcade classics to play in this game, which are understandable, because around this time we had games like Namco Museum are already out, and there were other like arcade collection games out on the console and stuff. So putting those games in this wouldn't have been necessary and stuff, because you already had those collection games on and stuff. And your goal once again is to reach the end of the level by like collecting fruit tokens and stuff like that, and like finding hidden items like concept art and stuff like that, and like 25th anniversary statues of Pac-Man to like get some cool goodies there and stuff. Some of them are pretty hard to find, but a lot of them are easy for the most part. And you got 16 levels, and while that does not seem like a lot compared to the 25 in Pac-Man World 2, these levels are long levels and stuff. They are long, like they'll take you about like, at least 20 minutes, like a half hour to beat and stuff. And of course, we also have a new ability for Pac-Man here. He can punch enemies now and stuff. Because last time he had his like butt bounce and his little charge attack and stuff, like on switches and stuff, but which was been in since the first Pac-Man World game. But here, like, he's got a punch attack, and it's great. And this is a problem that people had here, because a lot of people didn't like how he just stopped you dead in your tracks and stuff. But what do you expect from a 3D platformer? There's gonna be enemies you have to fight, and they wanted to like upgrade Pac-Man's attacks and stuff, because they couldn't just do the same thing like Pac-Man World 2 did. They want to do something different and experiment with this stuff. And the controls are smooth here. They're not as clunky as they were in Pac-Man World 2, where it had a lot of cheap deaths and stuff. And like there's not that many cheap deaths here this time. Sure, like there may be a few of them, but they're not as bad. And the levels are big. They're big and huge, and it'll take you a while to beat them and stuff, because there's a lot of secrets to find in each level. And there's a lot of good stuff here. But now we gotta go with the bads here. There are some times where the game can feel a little bit too easy at times for the most part. I mean, like, sure, the difficulty is more balanced, but there are times where the game can feel a little too easy. And just it feels like it holds your hand sometimes too, even though it doesn't give you a waypoint or an arrow, which is good, because like I can't stand when games hold your hand throughout like that and stuff. But here, like, it just sometimes feels a little too easy. and the camera can still be a bit shoddy at times and stuff too. And I know I didn't mind the Pac-Man punching the enemy stuff dead. It's just that sometimes you fight the same enemies over and over, and it can just get a little repetitive and monotonous. And there are some game-breaking glitches here too that are rare. Like there was one glitch I came across where like I was supposed to fight some ghosts there, and the ghosts never appeared, so I had to keep dying until they came back and stuff. And that's just something that should have been ironed out before it got released to the stores. And plus, the DS version is the worst version because of all the problems it has, and there's a bunch of glitches in it too. I never played the PSP version, so I can't say anything there. But still, it's a great game, best game in the series with a lot of improvements here. And if you can overlook those problems there, you got yourself a fantastic Pac-Man game, a 3D Pac-Man to be exact, and the best one at that. So my final verdict here goes like this. Get this game. This is the one I recommend the most if you're looking for a 3D Pac-Man game. Sure, some people hated it and stuff and blah 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 and stuff because of the small things and stuff, but for the most part, it's a great game. Definitely really worth checking out there if you're looking for your fix for 3D Pac-Man. The score I'll be giving it is a 9.5 out of 10, the highest score that I've given a Pac-Man game so far. So definitely pick this up, definitely. And hell, pick both these up because they're both a lot of fun here. Definitely pick both of them up because you're in for a treat for both these games. And that's pretty much what I gotta say for episode 118 part 4. Stay tuned for the final part, episode 118 part 5, where I'll be looking at Pac-Man World Rally, the first Pac-Man racing game ever made. How does this game fare out to like the other Pac-Man World games? You'll find out in episode 118 part 5, and that's pretty much all I gotta say. I hope you enjoyed CC Gamer 88. I know, like I say, you're a big Pac-Man fan. I hope everyone else enjoyed as well. That's pretty much all I gotta say. This is Tony. Peace out and have a great day. And stay tuned for the final part, episode 118, part 5.